Interview and job search strategies that work. I'd like to talk about value. What are you worth? How do you figure that out? If you don't know, I can give you some suggestions on how to figure that out. If you're ready, get a piece of paper and a pen. If you're driving, think about this in your mind, like, what am I, doing? If you don't have a paper and pen, just, remember this or just watch the episode when you get home or wherever you're going, write it down. Here goes. We're going to pretend like you make $48,000 take home a year, like after taxes, right? That's your dollar amount essentially, right? So you got that money right there. That's in your hand. So $48,000. Now let's take that's a year, right? That's after taxes. So we'll take that money and we'll say, okay, divided by 12 months, right? So that's 4,000 a month. Now take that so every month that's 4,000. So now you have a week. Every week is 1,000. Okay. Now typically everybody works 40 hours a week, right? So you take 1,000, divide by 40, that's 25. That's $25 an hour roughly. So $25 an hour, that's in your head right now, right? So that's the amount. Like that's your take home pay, right? $25 an hour. Now here's the thing. How do you figure out your value? Do you make it more simplified, or you're driving somewhere and you're thinking like, what is my time worth? Something doesn't really take an hour. Something may take 15, 20 minutes. So how do you find that out? Well, you take that 25 and you divide it by 60. So that's per minute. So I think it comes up to like 41 cents or something like that. 41.6 cents roughly and some change. So, in your mind's eye, that's what you're worth. We're just pretending, of course, 48,000 a year. So now you take that and you say, okay, 41 cents. So how do I, when you approach someone and they say, well, how much do you charge? Well, here's what you can do. Here's a simple formula. Like when you go to a restaurant, it's always usually 3 times. So they make it for $1 and they charge you $3, right? For whatever product it is because of the cost and then the profit. Same thing here. So what you do is you take that 41 cents times 3, 41.6 cents roughly, right? Times 3. What is that? Carry the 1, 41 times 3. What is it? $1.23 roughly, right? So $1.23 an hour, a minute is what you're worth. So how does that apply? Or how do you factor that in, right? So now when you're going somewhere, say you're driving somewhere, oh, you need to do something, right? And it's going to take 10 minutes. Say, okay, write it down. Say, okay, yeah, okay. Well, that costed me, that was worth, $12.30 or whatever, right? Of my time. Cause it was like, 10 minutes or whatever, right? And that's how you factor that in. That's how you figure that stuff out. And when you go and when you're doing a project for somebody and you know how long it's going to take, to use this formula on that, right? This kind of strategy, so this is the whole idea here, is to get in the mindset of thinking about that type of thing, because as most people, me included, right? Oh, I want to make $1,000. It's such a big number, right? But if I knock it down to like, 41 cents a minute. Oh, yeah, that's easily attainable. So now I'm thinking, what do I need to do to make 41 cents a minute? What value can I give to the marketplace that they'll give me in exchange? They'll give me 41 cents a minute. What do I need to do that, right? And that's the whole idea here behind that, is the whole exercise, right? It's writing this down is to get in that frame of mind, that mindset. 41 cents a minute. Yeah, right. I'm worth that. You go somewhere, you're talking to somebody and they're just jabbering on like I'm jabbering on sometimes or whatnot. And you're thinking, okay, what else can I do with my time? that I can take this 41 cents and I can apply it somewhere else so I can, recoup that value. The other thing to do is this. When you go for a job, when you're working, say to yourself, okay, all right, I'm driving. It takes me 10 minutes to get to work, let's say, right? So 41 cents times 10 is $4. So when you go to work in the morning, you're on your way to work. Like you're working essentially, right? Anytime you go to work, you're on your way to work because you can't do anything else other than like maybe listen to a podcast, listen to this great podcast here, awesomely. But the other, so now you have, you're basically paying to go to work somewhere, right? $4.10 to go to work, somewhere. So you take that money off top and you say, okay, how do I recoup that money some way, somehow, get that back somehow. And, I guess the whole idea here is think about money in that term, and you think about like your time, how valuable it is. In my mind, it's just so much easier to think that way. And, because I was like thinking like, what am I worth? How do I qualify that? And I was like, okay, let's break it down by minute. Okay. So that's the end of the goal. So I'll tell you a story, right? About time and about what you're worth and all that. I used to work at a place and I used to drive 6 hours, by the way. This is real. I drove 6 hours one way to work. And, I worked there. I used to work there. So we started off, I worked there 1 day a week, right? And the rest was work from home. Then they changed it to where it was 4 days a week, or no, 3 days a week. So I had to, it was fine. I left in the morning. I left at like 4 a.m, basically, right? And I arrived there and 6 hours, and then I worked the whole day, right? Then they changed it and say, hey, we need you here like the morning of. Like, really? You mean here like the morning of, So what I had to do is I had to leave the day before 6 hours. So you can imagine, right? You have 2 days at home and you're there. So the second day, let's say for instance, it's Monday, Tuesday. So on Tuesday night, I leave, go to work 6 hours away, and then work for, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? And then come back home on Friday, 6 hours. And, oddly enough, it got to the point where it was like, it would have cost me money to work there. It would have cost me like $14,000 or whatever to actually work there. So I'd have to pay for the right to work there. And I was like, all right, I'm good with that. And that's kind of where I said, I could make probably a lot more, but the time factor, 6 hours one way, and it's great seeing all the, in the new cities every week, and all that, and that's great. But the time frame, like, what can I do, because I figured out like 6 hours a week, right? Most people, 12 hours rather a week, right? So most people kind of do that already. If they work, say, an hour away, that's 10 hours. So what is it, that an hour? So that'd be 2 hours commute a day. That's 10 hours, right? That's like you're going 1 hour away from where you live, 5 days a week, and then of course you're at home every night. The difference with my thing was I paid for a hotel while I was there, and it was like, come on. And, any rate, so I really figured out like, what is my time worth, right? And I figured out like I would have saved, I don't know, something like 2 weeks, or no, like, I don't know, 4 weeks or whatever, a year, something like that of time, if I would just like work from home completely, basically, right? And if you're contemplating, working from home, or if you're not sure about it, like, I'm not sure when I work from home, try it out, give it a try. I know it can be a little, it can be stressful a little bit because you don't have that feedback you have. But the difference being you have so much more freedom, right? I mean, it's just, I mean, you do work more hours, I will say that, but you have so much more freedom than you would. Well, I do anyway. I'm not everybody, but I have so much more freedom because I work from home. Of course, I work way more hours, maybe like another 12 hours a week, something like that, right? But again, I'm working from home. So literally my laptop, I take it anywhere I'm working. That's how it works. And, that, it's a little different than, okay, I have to be somewhere, I have to drive somewhere, I have to show up to work. When I wake up, like that's my office right there. Bam, right there. It's right there. It's like 30 seconds I'm logged in, right? Versus going to work, driving in somewhere, drive into work. Okay, how much is my time worth? I got to wake up early. I got to go to through traffic or whatnot. Maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe it's an hour, who knows? And then I get there, and you probably know this, right? Whoever is listening to this, you guys know this. You get there, what do? You typically go in and you chat. Oh, hi, how's it going? I see you, whatever, right? And then you have usually a meeting, and then you do work, and then you go to lunch, and then you come back, or you stay at lunch, right? Or you do work through lunch, basically. You come back, you chat a little more, you do more work, and then you get prepared to go home. And then you do it all over again, Monday through Friday. And that's great. That's fantastic, right? But I'm just saying there's a different way than just doing that. And obviously, yeah, you could probably make, 20,000 more if you're working in an office. But I mean, like for instance, I'll tell you a story. I make like 10,000 less a year actually working from home than I did when I worked 6 hours away. 10,000 a year less, which is fine by me, because it's just freedom, more freedom than working in an office. Or the other thing that, I'll tell you, the other thing about freedom and time and all that is, um, when you have little contact with your fellow coworkers, basically only through meetings, there's really less chance of pissing somebody off, basically, or getting misinterpreted, or little sidebar conversations, or what do you call it, gossip. There's like none of that. None of that happens at all because you're working from home. So you may ask, like, well, you work from home. How do you get your social interaction, right? Well, I go on meetups. Obviously I have my own meetup. It's Get a Job in IT. It's on Meetup. The link is in the show notes here. I go to meetups. I go to like WordPress meetups. I've been to Azure meetups. I've been to podcasting meetups. I've been to YouTube meetups. I go to all the meetups like that just to interact with other humans, basically. So I get that. Also, work from home. Like I go to chicken shawarma places. I've been to I go eat shawarma. I'll take my laptop with me and I'll work while I'm at a place. So I'll work from home, but I'm working, at a meditated, chicken shawarma place, basically. Get some nice chicken shawarma. That's really it right there. I mean, working from home doesn't mean you stay in your house, basically. Some jobs are like that. Like if you work as a call center, like Sitel or Transcom, right? One of those two, they do like phone support for like not Charter, Cox Communication, and they do like what is that, Viasat, the ISP there, the satellite internet. Of course, you have to be there because in your home, right? You don't want noise or whatever, right? But other work from home jobs, like you might have a meeting. Okay, have a meeting in the car. As long as you have Wi-Fi, your hotspot your phone, right? You have the meeting in the car. Employers, when you work for a company, work from home, employers expect, it's kind of a known thing that you have your phone with you, your laptop with you at all times, basically. Not all the time, but it's kind of known, and it just really helps you out, by the way, because at a moment's notice, you might get a call, especially in IT, for something, and oh, okay, I'll take care of it, right? Oh, done. Versus like, working in an office, of course they don't expect you to come in for that. You have people that are on call or whatever. And so that's a luxury and not a luxury at the same time, because sometimes your weekends are not your own if you work from home versus if you're in the office, your weekends are your own. But at the same time, if you work from home, you can go anywhere. You can travel, you can go to, Mall of America if you want, as long as you have Wi-Fi, come with your laptop or not, whatever, maybe they have a VPN, they have a VDI, whatever, however you log in. And you do work, you're working, you're doing work, and I'll tell you, IT, I mean, of course, I know there's writers out there that work from home, and you're not going to get it. I mean, if you don't have any IT experience at all, just take my course. It's on Teachable. It's Get a Job in IT. There's a link in the show notes, and that course will actually teach you how to get a job. I teach you how to get a job in IT, basically, right? I mean, from start to finish, you know nothing about IT, and I teach you IT, and I also teach you Commvault. So it's a niche market. You may not know this about Commvault, but Commvault's a backups software that backs up like almost everything. Like all major companies usually, or most major companies have this software. They use this software to back up. They just don't advertise it, right? So it's a very good product. So, well, I'd like to thank everybody for listening to this podcast. Have a great day.